appreciate it greatly.
I am back. I am back to who I am. This is the beginning of my 2020 season.
Thank you for joining me, and welcome back to Keenan K TV. In today's video, let us go over the Conor McGregor vs Dustin Poirier rematch fight planned for December 2020. And it seems like Conor McGregor has abandoned the aid of the UFC in this one, and has been partaking in a much needed independent event. And so before we discuss all of this including the fight, be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to my channel with the bell notifications turned on. Now with that being said, let's get right into it. Before we begin, I will announce that I will be making a very in-depth Conor McGregor vs Dana White video that will be explaining everything that has went down with the UFC and Conor McGregor in 2020. Obviously, we know that Conor McGregor was planning on fighting 3 times this year, calling it his season. Mainly because of unpredictable circumstances, McGregor's return has been pushed back more than he anticipated, and if it was up to the UFC, Conor wouldn't have fought this year. And so McGregor taking matters into his own hands is the beginning of a very successful grip onto his own future, but I will leave it at that since I will be discussing it in another video. Conor McGregor, after defeating Donald Cowboy Cerrone this year in January, immediately looked for a quick turnaround in May. Now obviously, due to UFC not allowing him to fight without the fans being attending any of these events, Conor McGregor was being handcuffed from competing. And so he finally did something that I always hoped that he would do, which was take matters into his own hands and start his own event. Now obviously, when you're in the UFC, you are not allowed to fight outside of the company into an official bout, a professional event. In other words, a professionally scheduled, commissioned, sanctioned mixed martial arts contest. Now Conor has been no stranger for exhibition fights. He has obviously had a couple of them last year in Dublin City. And aside from Conor McGregor, we had, for example, Ben Askren competing against Jordan Burroughs, Jorge Masvidal competing against Anthony Pettis in a grappling contest. So calling it an exhibition fight and making it happen in that manner is just genius from Conor McGregor. And the opponent, Dustin Poirier, who has always been very open about going in there and fighting Conor McGregor again, immediately accepted the opportunity to fight him once again. Whatever the circumstances may have been, for both fighters it is ideal. If it just so happens that one of them goes in there and quote-unquote loses, it won't go on their official record, that's one thing. However, both will go in there and fight it out, scrap it out, get paid, and stay active, which is the most important thing for anybody in the lightweight division. It is a division that is so skilled and changing ever so quickly, you do not want to be falling behind. And so when Conor McGregor was going off on social media about the UFC, Dustin Poirier kind of stuck out his hand in concern or poking fun, whatever it may have been, but that immediately sparked a light bulb in Conor McGregor's head, which immediately triggered this exhibition charity MMA contest, which has nothing to do with the UFC. This is what Conor McGregor had to say. "Hey bro, you want to do an MMA charity fight? Zero to do with the UFC. I will donate $500,000 towards your charity for it. Sell it on pay-per-view or work out a TV deal. And also we will work out other charities that are close to my heart, since I am engaged in many. This will be strictly a charity exhibition. December 12th in a Depot Point, Ireland. No weigh-ins, open weight, unified rules. I will arrange all travel fare for you and your family. McGregor Sports and Entertainment, Mixed Martial Arts, in association with the Good Fight Foundation. Charity Mixed Martial Arts, to which Dustin the Diamond Poirier replied, I am in. And with that, you guys, Conor McGregor worked around the UFC and got himself his own match. And the importance of this is very key, since the UFC is not wanting to go in there and make Conor McGregor fight in an empty arena without the fans attending, and with them missing out on millions and millions of dollars. Now you may say to yourself, well, if Khabib Nurmagomedov, the second biggest pay-per-view star in the UFC, can fight without any crowds attending, why can't Conor McGregor? Now for that, I must say this first. Khabib Nurmagomedov, even before Fight Island in Abu Dhabi was a thing, already was contracted with Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi paid him millions and millions of dollars to fight in their country, and the UFC happily obliged with this, since they will be getting a big cut from it as well. However, for example, against Dustin Poirier, Khabib Nurmagomedov made around around $3 million, whereas against Conor McGregor, he only made $1 million. I mean, comparing the Conor McGregor fight to the Dustin Poirier fight, you know which one is bigger, and yet against the other one, he made way more money. So even before Fight Island happened and all the restrictions occurred, Khabib was always going to have that Abu Dhabi spot where they will pay the UFC and him a lot of money. With Conor McGregor, there is no such thing yet. There is no outside entity that funds the UFC. There is just nothing like that. With Conor McGregor, all the revenue he brings is just from his own stardom and all the traffic he attracts to the event. So unlike the Khabib situation where the UFC is being funded, for Conor McGregor, the UFC has to fund Conor McGregor. That is the main difference, and that is why even without the fans, Khabib Nurmagomedov can fight, but Conor McGregor cannot. And so it is brilliant to see what Conor McGregor did to set up a pay-per-view event for this exhibition. He has already done this. I believe leading up to his fight with Floyd Mayweather or after it, he did a special pay-per-view only Q&A with Ariel Helwani. So Conor McGregor is no stranger to setting up a pay-per-view event and an exhibition. And that is why I am certain that this fight will go through without any question. Now, in terms of this exhibition, I do not know how serious it will be, but knowing these two competitors, it is very hard for me to believe that they will go in that octagon or squared circle, whatever it may be, and for them to not compete at their best. These two are not professional wrestlers, they don't choreograph stuff and they don't plan stuff. They will go in there and they will scrap it out. That is what I'm assuming. It will probably be as real as it gets, but just coded under exhibition. So with that said, let us break down this fight fairly quickly. Going into a fight with Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier, the rematch, I must say that immediately what sticks out to me is that from their run at the featherweight division, obviously both fighters have improved tremendously. Whereas Dustin Poirier has refined his game from what it already was and gotten better at it, Conor McGregor had to change his game around, adapt new skills, new methods, go through different trials and tribulations in higher weight divisions, go in there and fight the pound for pound best Floyd Mayweather, and then return to MMA to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov. I must say that out of the two, Conor McGregor is the one that had to go in there and adapt the most, learn the most, and just get quote-unquote better. Now with better, I mean he just gained a lot of different tools. And come fight night, I believe Dustin Poirier will be more similar to what he was in the first fight than Conor McGregor was. And so that is an advantage I think Conor McGregor has immediately in this matchup. But the advantage for Dustin Poirier comes down to his activity ever since fighting Conor McGregor back in the featherweight division. He has fought champions like Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Anthony Pettis, Max Holloway, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and with all of that experience and activity and all of those lessons that he learned from those fights, you can best believe that come fight night, Dustin Poirier will be a lot sharper in my opinion for 5 rounds and just be a lot more game, if you would like to call it. Now, where Dustin Poirier has the advantage in activity and not being rusty, Conor McGregor has the advantage in being the counter style to Dustin Poirier. Now, Dustin Poirier in essence is a very skilled boxer, MMA fighter. He predominantly uses his boxing and rarely will he go up any further than a body kick with his kicks. But Conor McGregor on the other hand, shown in his featherweight bout, has been able to just come out from the gate immediately with a big hook kick, spinning back kick, and just things of that nature that will really enhance the range and make it hard for a boxing contest to go down between the two. And that is why Dustin Poirier in the first fight completely got outzoned and pretty much picked apart by Conor McGregor. He wasn't able to get his range down, he was sticking to his boxing too much, his stance was way too wide and heavy on the feet, and Conor McGregor just read him like an open book, and his abilities to utilize his kicks and set up a power shot was just something that Dustin Poirier did not anticipate in the opening of the fight. Conor McGregor immediately comes out of the gate and just tries to finish the fight as soon as possible. In Conor's last fight against Donald Cowboy Cerrone, the same thing happened to Cerrone. He just got caught in a hurricane. So in the rematch, I must say that the same thing most likely will happen again. Conor will come out fast and Dustin Poirier will have to adapt to it. Now that fight was back in featherweight, and obviously both fighters had to cut a lot of weight, and seemingly at 155, Dustin Poirier was a lot more chinny than what he is today. Now the main difference from that and just 155 period is that this will be unsanctioned and without a weigh-in. Open weight, they can come in as they see fit. And with that, I am definitely not expecting Dustin Poirier to cut weight and drain himself and, weaken his body. And I think that was one of the most important things that happened in that fight. Now, at the same time, I do believe that the shot Conor McGregor landed, which was right above the ear, right behind it, was a very big, nice, sweet spot. And even with a full training camp and without being dehydrated, that shot would have just put down Dustin Poirier, period. If it was another shot, then sure, he would have probably sustained it, but that particular shot was very hard for him to recover from. And with Conor McGregor being a great finisher. As soon as he can hurt you, he will get you out of there. So with that said, come fight night, both will be as strong as they can physically be. Now, in terms of stylistically matching up these guys against each other today, I must say that Conor McGregor has adapted and learned and gained new tricks, new techniques that I don't really see Dustin Poirier kind of just keeping up with. Conor McGregor, for example, in his featherweight run was a very fluid kicker, but then at the 155-pound division or the higher divisions where he fought predominant great grapplers like Nate Diaz and Khabib Nurmagomedov, for example, or even Eddie Alvarez for that matter, he kind of stuck to a more boxing based yet kind of complemented by his kicking game style. The kicking game was not a priority, but it was kind of a necessity to set up his boxing. And now that he has become a lot heavier than what he was at 145, that kicking game right now is very strong. I mean, the legs that he has gained, the muscle mass that he has gained in his legs is just phenomenal. And obviously in his fight against Donald Cowboy Cerrone, it showed. One head kick was all it took for him to knock out Cowboy Cerrone. And so when he goes in there and fights somebody like Dustin Poirier for the second time, not only will he have the experience of knocking him out for the first time, but most importantly, he will know how to just take away that success from Dustin Poirier. Poirier is a fighter that kind of warms up into the fight. Preferably a style like Max Holloway is just his way to go into a fight. What I mean by that is this. Max Holloway kind of warms up to the fight and gets better as the rounds go by. He gradually increases his output and his success from that. If you put him up in there against a fighter who is very quick right out of the gate, like for example Khabib Nurmagomedov, Michael Johnson, Conor himself, he kind of freezes up. And in that moment, these guys who first take the initiative always get the better of him. And I believe right now, Conor McGregor will be able to do it way better than the first time. Even though that predominantly we will see a lot more boxing exchanges and they will be a lot more healthier and fitter to take damage, I still believe that Conor McGregor's ability to fight a fellow southpaw is just way better than Dustin Poirier's ability to fight a fellow southpaw. Even though Dustin Poirier has become very good at welcoming the storm and just welcoming output while he's being backed up like he did against Daniel Hooker, Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez, I still don't believe that these guys can even come close to what Conor McGregor can do at the tempo that he does it, at the accuracy that he does it, and at the significance that Conor McGregor does it. Whereas these guys may throw like a 4-punch combination and Conor McGregor may feint, load up on the left hook and just knock you out clean. Those are the things that I don't really see Dustin Poirier dealing well against. In terms of it being 5 rounds, I believe against Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier will not be initiating the range, initiating the tempo, and be in control of the ring. I think Conor McGregor, once again, will be able to utilize his kicks, long range, jabs, and offense and mental warfare inside the octagon to still be in control of the fight, and therefore he will be in control of the tempo, therefore he will be in control of his stamina, which will cause him to control his stamina very well, and 5 rounds should be no problem, just like it was not when it came down to him fighting Max Holloway for 3 rounds. He looked as fresh as he could. The same was said about the Eddie Alvarez fight. So, come fight night, I do believe Conor McGregor will be able to beat Dustin Poirier again by way of TKO, but I believe this time around it may take a round and a half perhaps. But leave in the comment section down below what you think, because in the end, only time will tell what will truly happen. For now, I've been Keenan from Keenan K TV, signing off. Later.